And Perryman following it in. Chivers with a 1-2. Perryman! Yes! Beautifully played by Spurs.
They remember the flair. They forget the spine. Steve Perryman. 854 appearances for Spurs, still the club record. He didn't chase headlines. He chased the next pass. He didn't sell shirts. He bought time for legends. He didn't ask for praise. He carried the weight. From 1969 to 1986, he was the heartbeat they never filmed. 17 straight seasons he scored. Every FA Cup match for 16 years he played. But no statue, no chant, no memory beyond the faithful. Wembley, 1981, Ricky Villa scores. Perryman lifts the cup, then walks away like always. He didn't wave, he didn't roar, he just did the job. And when he left, they barely looked back. Subscribe if you still believe the ones who gave everything shouldn't vanish into silence. Steve Perryman, the man who became Tottenham but never asked you to notice. He was born 21st December 1951 in Ealing, West London, a quiet boy with sharp eyes and a sharper mind. He joined Tottenham's youth system in 1967, just 15 years old, still in school uniform, already more mature than the boots around him. By 1969, he signed professional. And in September that year, he made his first team debut against Sunderland, aged just 17. He wasn't loud, he wasn't flashy, but in training, one man saw it all. Bill Nicholson, the architect of Tottenham's greatest sides, looked at him once and said, "He listens more than most and talks less than any." By 1969, he'd helped Tottenham reach the FA Youth Cup semi-final, already shaping the future before joining it. Perryman started as a defender, hard-tackling, disciplined, aware. But as the years moved, so did he into midfield, into captaincy, into something more than a player. By 20, he was already the voice behind the noise. He wasn't the headline. He was the reason the headlines happened. While the names around him changed, Chivers, Gilzean, Peters, our dealers, Steve Perryman stayed, and Spurs kept winning. In 1971, Tottenham lifted the League Cup, beating Aston Villa at Wembley. Perryman, just 19, already looked like he'd been there for a decade. He helped Spurs win their first UEFA Cup, scoring twice against AC Milan in the first leg of the semi-final, April 5, 1972, one of the club's greatest European nights. Another League Cup followed in 1973, but Perryman never changed, never waved, never posed, just ran, tackled, passed again and again. As the flair players danced, he covered the ground beneath them. He wasn't built for highlight reels. He was built for 90 minutes. Spurs didn't run on glory, one fan said. They ran on Perryman. And they did through Europe, through finals, through one of the most quietly successful periods in club history. In 1974, they reached the UEFA Cup final again, but lost to Feyenoord. Still, Perryman never faded. Midfield or backline, wherever they placed him, he gave Spurs shape. In 1975, Steve Perryman was handed the armband. No big speech, no demands, just trust. He was 23 but already carried himself like a veteran. Bill Nicholson named him captain in 1975, and he wore the armband the way he played, with consistency, not ego. He led without shouting, without blaming, without ever stepping out of line. And under his quiet command, Tottenham found their fight again. In 1981, Spurs won the FA Cup, a legendary final against Manchester City. Ricky Villa stole the show. Perryman lifted the trophy. In 1982, they defended the cup, another final, another medal. And again, it was Perryman holding it up, barely smiling, already thinking about the next game. 24 March 1982 Reykjavik, England versus Iceland. His only cap? One night for a man who gave them 2 decades. That same year, the Football Writers Association named him Footballer of the Year, the only Spurs player to win it in the 1980s. Then in 1984, Spurs won the UEFA Cup. Perryman was suspended for the second leg, but no one questioned who the real captain was. Ossie Ardiles said it best. "Steve was our anchor. Without him, we had sails but no ship. He wasn't the face of the team. He was the bones of it. 854 appearances for Tottenham Hotspur. Let that settle. He didn't just wear the badge, he wore number 4 like armor, steady, invisible, immovable. He became the badge. Not Greaves, not Kane, not even close. From 1969 to 1986, Steve Perryman wore one badge week after week, year after year for 17 straight seasons. And in each of those seasons he scored at least once. No gaps, no off years, just relentless service. He played in every single FA Cup match from 1970 to 1986-69 consecutive games in the world's oldest knockout competition. Not a star, a constant, not a story, a standard. When the badge needed legs, one fan wrote, it borrowed his. This wasn't just durability, it was devotion, etched into every blade of White Hart Lane. And still no statue, no chant, no golden boot, just records that quietly refused to be broken. Year after year he wore the shirt, but never the three lions, not really. Led them in Europe, lifted trophies, ran harder than anyone, and England, they gave him one cap. No headlines cried injustice, no fans marched, because Steve Perryman never asked for more. He wore the three lions like he wore the cockerel, with humility, with pride, with silence. He didn't say he deserved more, but we knew he did. Others shouted their way in. He earned his way in and still got the door shut. 31st March, 1986. His last match day as a Spurs player. 17 years, quietly ended as it began. No farewell banner, no standing ovation. Just a quiet walk out the back door of the club he gave everything to. He had joined at 15, debuted at 17, captained by 23, gone at 34 just months after his birthday. No fanfare, no parade. He wasn't finished. He still had football to give and gave it where he could. He lifted 6 major trophies. League Cups in 1971 and 1973, FA Cups in 1981 and 1982, UEFA Cups in 1972 and 1984. After leaving Spurs in March 1986, he played 10 games for Oxford United, retiring later that year before taking over as player manager at Brentford in 1987. In 1990, he was named Coca-Cola Third Division Manager of the Year. One of the few trophies they couldn't lift, but he could. He managed Start in Norway, 1989 to 1990, then Shimizu S-Pulse, 1995 to 1996, and Kashiwa Reysol, 1997 to 1998, in Japan, building football without ever building a brand. Long before the J-League drew headlines, he was already there, exporting discipline to a continent craving substance, a quiet pioneer on foreign soil, becoming one of the first Englishmen to shape football in Asia. But again, he never shouted about it. From 2003 to 2018, 15 years as director of football at Exeter City. Quiet service as always, helping a lower league club punch far above its weight. He didn't need the spotlight, a former player said, he just needed the game. And the game always had a place for him, even if the headlines didn't. He didn't ask for a statue, he didn't demand a chant, and for decades he got neither. But in 1986, the same year he left Spurs, he was awarded the MBE for services to football. A rare moment of national recognition for a man who never chased the crown. Joined the Spurs Hall of Fame in 2016, but the statue never came, and neither did the chant. 30 years later. In the end, the honors arrived, but they followed the silence, not the song. Too late for a primetime tribute, but not too late for truth. In 1979, Spurs gave him a testimonial against West Ham. 10 years in, they clapped once and moved on. He still walks the stands, still answers interviews, still downplays his greatness like he always did. One fan wrote, "He's not a statue outside the stadium because he's a pillar inside it. The legends they sculpt in bronze? They aren't always the ones who carried the weight. He played longer than legends, won more than most, and asked for less than any of them. One England cap, and not a single complaint. He never chased the limelight. He chased the next challenge. He never raised his voice. He raised a team. There were no viral clips, no golden boots, no documentaries. Just Steve Perryman showing up, staying loyal, and making everyone else look good. The headlines wrote about others. But the dressing room, they knew who made it all work. He became Spurs, one old fan whispered, so we never noticed him until he was gone. Today, they talk about legends, but they forget the foundation. And foundations don't shout. They hold everything up. Subscribe if you still believe that football's truest heroes aren't the loudest, they're the ones who never walked away.